You may not be ready for a real woman if you're only moving through pride and ego, or looking at a woman through the lens of her being your muppet, or somebody you can control, or somebody that you can manipulate to do whatever you want. You're not ready for a real woman. So I'm back, and I didn't come to hold y'all hand. I'm never gonna come hold y'all hand on these podcasts. I'm gonna tell it how it is and what it is, and tell y'all the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. But this episode is basically gonna be named "You May Not Be Ready for a Good Woman." And I say that because I think, like, even too on social media, as being a person that creates content, I'm on social media a lot, and I feel as though a lot of times we're so misguided about what good women are. And I feel like there are people out there that know that they have good women in their life, but they manipulate and they abuse that power, and they just go against just who she initially is. And I'm gonna just give it to you raw and straight. You're not ready for a good woman if you are not emotionally available. And how does that look? Like, you don't even remember the last time you cried. You're scared to express your emotions. She can't even feel like a safe place with you because you're not a safe place for yourself. You feel as though your emotional vulnerability is a threat to who you are as a man. And even too, we're not even gonna just talk about in relationships. We're gonna also talk about it in friendships. So just stay with me. But you may not be ready for a good woman if you're not emotionally available, because with a woman, whether that's in a relationship or a friendship, you have to be that safe place for that woman in your life. She has to feel like able to where she can express with you. She can be vulnerable with you because that's all connected to her femininity. And I think a lot of times there are so many guys that close that part off of them because they think that emotional intelligence is a weapon, when in reality, it's one of the greatest attributes that you have, to be connected with your emotions, to be able to connect with another person outside of yourself. Because life is so heavy, you don't really even need anybody in your life who chooses not to connect with them, or they choose not to feel, or they choose to find different voids to get away from actually sitting in that moment and feeling. Because this is the thing, if a person is guarding off in their emotions about themselves, how would they ever be able to open up that space for you? You know, I'll say another one. You may not be ready for a good woman if you view women as objects. And so many times, like, we have so much, even too on social media, I see so much talk, I see so many posts, and it's just like, I'm tired of it. And when it gets to the point, like, if there's a woman and she carries herself well, whether that's presenting herself on social media or in person, and you instantly sexualize her or objectify her, you're not ready for a good woman. Because a lot of times it's just like, even too, as a woman, I'm gonna be able to relate to this, because it's like, I'll say this. It's been so many times where men have literally sexualized me, and it's like I'm fully covered. You can't see my body, so I'm respecting myself first. And they would still sexualize me. And it's like, dang, did you know I'm actually good at graphic design? I can actually help you build your business up. I can actually put you on to different perspectives that could probably potentially change your life. But no, they stop it just at the sexual aspect and objectification of women. So it's just like, oh, I just see her as somebody I can have sex with. Whole time you just missed out on the business partner. Whole time you just missed out on a good potential friend. Or whole time you may miss out on your wife. Hello. And I think it's not really talked about enough, because it just happens so often and women allow it, and it just happens like so frequently that I think a lot of times we don't actually sit and actually process what's going on. But it's like, if a man, like, when a man does not view a woman as a person, like, you got to listen to how he speaks about women. Is he always referring to them as B words? Is he always referring to them as females? Because that's another thing too. If a man is always referring to women as females, somebody in his heart, in his life, may have broke his heart, and he has not opened up that wound to actually heal it. And that's not your responsibility to help him heal that. But yeah, we got to pay attention to that, because it happens so much. It happens in the music. Like, you hear how men talk, and definitely too in the black culture, I see that a lot, where like in the music it's so misogynistic, where it's talking down on women, it's calling them out their names, it's only referring to them as HOEs. It's so bad to the point now where you have women referring to themselves as B words, and they think it's okay. And or they talk to their friends like that, and they think that, hey, it's second nature, when in reality it's absolutely wrong. You should not be referring to your friends, or men should not be referring to women as B words. Like, you're a human being. And I said all that to say, when a man cannot view a woman as a human being, he's not ready for a good woman. Because a lot of times, I ain't gonna lie, y'all miss out on really good women in every aspect because you're sexualizing her, because you're trying to take her to the bedroom, because you cannot control your lust. And if a man is stuck in lust, he's not ready for a good woman because he's gonna sexualize her, whether it's subconsciously or unsubconsciously. And, you know, it's just not worth it. You may not be ready for a good woman if you're always talking sexually online. And this is one of the things I had to work on too within myself, because I used to post like sexual tweets and quotes until I realized that it's very distasteful. And it's also showing that, like, hey, if you can tell everybody on the internet how you are in the bedroom, you're not someone who can cover me and protect me. And I'm not saying protect as in physical, but you can't protect me because you are not even emotionally mature to understand that certain things is not everybody's business. So we have to be able to understand that as well. So if you're still posting sexual quotes, you may not be ready for a real woman, because when a real woman is actually truly activating that God like energy within herself, and she's actually getting in tune with God, no real woman is going to deal with that, because it's like it's distasteful. You don't care how you presenting yourself on the internet. And that's another thing too. If you don't care how you're presenting yourself on the internet, because people are like, oh, social media don't matter. Social media is like a resume almost, and not even for a job, but it shows your daily life. It shows the things that you're interested in, and the things that you talk about on social media sometimes plays a role in who you are in real life. It's a representation of your life. It just is what it is. So we have to be able to pay attention to that as well, and not block that out. I think as well, you may not be ready for a real woman if you're only moving through pride and ego. And I think this is a huge one for men, because I think like a lot of times men have been like wired to believe that they only have worth in making money. So they don't know how to see their worth outside of being a provider or get into the bag, because they didn't really have anybody, like they didn't have people to really tell them most of the time, like, hey, you're great even if you don't have no money. How many times you have women to tell you that? How many times you had people in your life that tell you like, hey, even if you down bad right now, you still have so much potential in you to get up, back up, and get it all over again. And not even just that, you have so much power in you. You're worthy even if you didn't have no money attached to you. And I think like they just been so wired to believe that their only worth is captivated in how much money they earn, which is unfortunate, because then it's like you go through life navigating and only showing yourself like through how much money you make and bragging about that so you can get women, so that you can get clout, so that you can get status. And it's like at the end of the day, it shows like there's some type of pride or ego there. And I think like when a man has too much pride and ego, that blocks him off from reaching the woman that God wants him to be connected with. Definitely women who are actually working on themselves. Like a woman who's actively working on herself will not be aligned with a man who only acts out of pride and ego, because that means that there's some type of insecurity deep down inside that he's not working on, and something that he's avoiding. And when a man is operating out of pride and ego, that'll ruin his friendships, that'll ruin his relationships, that'll even come in between if he have kids, his children. And it goes so far and so far on. And it's like you can't get to true vulnerability if you have this shield up of this fake representation of who you are. And that's not really who you are. It's just a false sense of ego. A lot of men have a false sense of ego. Like when you go to Instagram or their social media, it's like they're making themselves to be out to be some man because they have this money and all of these accolades, but at the same time you're emotionally unavailable. You can't connect with women. You don't know how to actually know that you have worth outside of the money that you make. And it's just so much ego, and I feel like ego comes in the way of so many things because you miss out on the beauty of vulnerability. You're not able to really just like take that mask off, you know? And I think like so many men walk through life with the mask on, and when you're operating through pride and ego, you and a real woman would never last, because she's going to see through that. She's going to see through that facade that you're putting up. She's going to see through that mask that you have shielding up of who you actually are, because pride and ego is nothing but a mask. And I see now why the Bible expresses it so much, to where we shouldn't really be activating, I mean, like really moving through pride and ego, because it damages and ruins so many good connections. It ruins so many, like, even too, it makes men run away from who they actually are. So like I said, they don't ever get aligned with real women. They can't be vulnerable. They can't because even too, when they talking to a woman, he's talking through his mask. And if you're still operating out of that, like, even to, you have a lot of men that say, oh, I'm that dude, I'm him. That's ego. And I think it's good to know who you are and have confidence in that. But when you move with that as your personality on your sleeve, a lot of times we can see through that. And it's like, you may be saying that you're him, but you don't know how to process your emotions. You don't remember the last time you cried. You always think that every woman is here to weaponize your emotions against you and turn that against you. But in reality, there may be some women that really want to be there for you, but it's blocked off because you won't allow her in. Your ego is too big. You get what I'm saying? And we got to learn to let the ego down if you really want a real woman in your life. Another thing is too, like, I think you're not ready for a real woman if you're not doing the work on yourself. Like, and I think, like, in capitalism, we can be running ourselves raggedy like a chicken with our heads cut off, working day to night, pulling in the string or whatever that is within your daily life. And it's like, at the same time, you're running for who you actually are. You're not taking the therapy. You're not going to get help. That's why you have so many men that are domestic violence abusers, and they are just mistreating women. They're mistreating everyone in their family, and they're wondering why they don't, when they turn around, they don't have good people in their lives, because they're not doing the work on themselves. We need more men to get therapy. We need more men to have safe places. What do safe places look like? Having other men in your corner that don't hold you but hold you accountable. So this is the thing as well. Like, I'm gonna get into it. Like, you're not ready for a real woman if you have friends that hold you instead of hold you responsible. Because I think, like, a lot of times too, like, if you got friends in your ear that's telling you, oh, nah, it's all right to cheat, that's all right. We all cheat. All men cheat. They're putting toxic rhetoric in your head. You're not ready for a real woman. You need men that hold you accountable. Like, nah, bruh, it ain't right that you abandoning them kids. It ain't right that you think it's cool that you ain't watching your kids, but you out here taking different women out on dates. It ain't right that you keep making broken homes. You got about 6 kids, but you're not married to none of the women that you had the kids by. Nah, that ain't right. You need men in your corner that hold you accountable, because, like, when you don't have friends that hold you accountable, you can have a whole bunch of naysayers and a whole bunch of people in your ear that's telling you stuff that's not real, right? And they having you go against your woman every single night. But at the same time, they having you do that because they really jealous. They really want your woman. They're not telling you the truth because they really want you down bad, or they jealous of you. You need men around you who not only inspire you but challenge you to become better. And nevertheless, beyond from that, you're not ready for a real woman if you only got coddlers around you, because you need friends that hold you accountable. You need friends that say, nah, bro, that ain't right. You need to go apologize to that woman. You get what I'm saying? Stop sitting around here creating kids with women that you don't plan on being with for the rest of your life. And I think, like, we're so, like, this generation is just so okay with just creating broken homes. Nah, because that's another one I'm getting into. You ain't ready for a real woman if you okay with making broken homes. You okay with looking at, like I said, looking at women as objects. Oh, this my baby mama. This. If you still referring to women as your baby mother instead of your child's mom or the mother of my kids, you ain't ready for no real woman. Because you still mislabeling women. You still looking at women as a piece of muppet. Like, if a man looks at a woman as a muppet rather than a person and someone that you can build with and create longevity with in your lifetime or partnership, you ain't ready. Like, that's why I even say too, like, when it comes to relationships, you're not ready for a real woman if, like, you're looking at women as muppets. Like, as, like, you're like, even too, there's so many people and men that are narcissists. If you are looking at a woman through the lens of her being your muppet, or somebody you can control, or somebody that you can manipulate to do whatever you want, you're not ready for a real woman, because a real woman won't allow that. And you want to know why she won't allow that? Because at the same time, she has her own mind. She knows she's her own person outside of you. Nevertheless, beyond from that, real women won't let you sit around and control them. They won't. You get what I'm saying? They'll allow you to lead, but they understand that comes in partnership. If you're looking at your relationship as a way of control instead of partnership, you ain't ready for no real woman. You ain't ready for no real woman. Because I think even too, like, a lot of times men fall short because they think, like, a woman is supposed to be submissive and listen to everything a man says. But at the same time, if you're giving counsel that can lead us astray, You need a woman at the same time that can jump in and say, nah, babe, this don't sound right. You get what I'm saying? I want to trust your leadership, but my intuition. And a lot of times men can't listen to their woman's intuition because guess what? His ego too far up. His ego too far up, and he thinks that a woman shouldn't have a say so. He thinks that a woman should just shut up and sit in the back and not speak up. Nah, you ain't ready for a real woman. You ain't ready for a real woman. And I think like the list goes on and on. Like, you also not ready for a real woman if you're not able to be, what's the word? Take accountability. I think that's the big one. You're not ready for a real woman if you're not able to take accountability. Because if you're not able to take accountability, you'll never be able to realize when you fall short and admit to that. You won't be able to show no humility. And if you can't take accountability, how can you lead? How can you lead with a real woman? How can you lead with a real woman to the point to where you even leading a household? So if you can't take accountability, you're not ready. You're also not ready for a real woman if you're posting about what you wouldn't do for a woman. And I think that's a big one because I think there's a lot of men that sit around saying, no, I'm not, I ain't doing this for a woman. I ain't doing it. I ain't spending no money on her. I ain't taking her out nowhere. She gotta show me she really like me for real. If you use your discernment, you wouldn't have to have that mindset. If you stop spreading yourself thin and stop dating so many women and stop giving your body away to so many women, you wouldn't have to feel like you have to spread yourself thin because your discernment would tell you. Men choose their wives. I don't know if you realize that, but men choose their wives. So if you keep choosing the wrong woman, something is wrong with your discernment. You need to ask God to strengthen your discernment. And even to, like I said, if you're even talking about making posts or even saying what you wouldn't do for a woman, what you wouldn't spend, you're not ready because with a real woman, you have to create space for her. And when I say space, and this is what a lot of men don't understand about women, you have to create that space for her emotionally. She got to feel like she can go to you and talk to you and feel safe without you using that against her as well. She has to feel as though she's physically protected. Like you will protect her from any evil. You'll protect her from even to when people talk bad mouth about her. You'll protect her. She wants to feel as though she's mentally protected. You're stimulating her mind. You're not trying to control her, but you're trying to help her not only become a better woman, but even help yourself. You're challenging her to be better, and she's challenging you to be a better man. You have to make her feel safe to come to you emotionally, physically, spiritually, even too spiritually. Can I trust my man to pray for me? Can I trust you to pray for me? Do you know how to pray? You get what I'm saying? A lot of times, y'all know 1,001 positions, but you don't know 1,001 prayers. And I think that's the problem with today's society. We know so many positions in the bedroom. You know how you like it. You know how you like your penis sucked, but you don't know how many prayers you can pray. You can't even formulate a prayer. And I'm not judging you, but I'm bringing awareness to things that need to be exposed. I ain't holding your hand. And we have to be able to differentiate that because I think a lot of times, even too, I'm going to hold women accountable on this as well. Ask these men to pray. You get what I'm saying? Ask these men if they know how to pray. When was the last time you prayed to God? Do you believe in God? You know, it's a big one. But a woman wants to feel safe. And once a woman feels safe, once a real woman feels safe, once a real woman feels safe with you, there's almost nothing that she wouldn't do for you. Unless it goes against her morals or her values, then that's different. But there's almost nothing that she wouldn't do for you. She's eager to do things for you. She's eager to show up for you every single way. And I know that's a very big responsibility on a man's perspective. But at the same time, if you want a real woman, you'll be open to doing that. And life, definitely, so when you're doing longevity with a woman in your life, one of the biggest things I really realize is that you'll be open to learning that, or eager to learning that so that you can fully show up and be present for that real woman in your life because you know that she can actually help benefit your life too. Because let me tell y'all something. The Bible says he who finds a wife finds a good thing. Hello. And receives favor from the Lord. That favor can be protection, her covering you spiritually. When you out, you don't even know that she just spiritually prayed and protected you from something in a spiritual realm to where no harm can come up against you. But not from that. She's making sure she's looking out for you. That favor can be opportunities that you never knew that you can have. That favor could be your life elevating in a way that you've never seen. That's the favor. And We can't keep spreading ourselves thin, whether woman or man, with different women and men, thinking that you're going to get that from each and every woman. No, it don't work like that. You're spreading yourself thin, babe. But last but not least, I'm going to say, you're not ready for a real woman if you're not actively trying to get closer to God every single day. Because I think it's a beautiful thing when men allow God in their hearts too, because you can see, you can tell, no matter how much you try to fake it, you can tell if you're actually praying, if you're actually getting closer to God, and the only way I feel as though, like even too in the Bible, the only way a man can come better is if he commit himself unto the Lord. And how does that look? Fasting, staying celibate, and getting away from women who just want to use him for his money, just want to have sex with him. Like, no, you have to really get really strengthened with your relationship with the Lord so that God can show you a version of yourself that you never thought that you could witness. It's so beautiful and it can happen. But if you're not committing yourself to the Lord, how can you commit yourself to anybody else? How can you lead? How can you even show up for yourself if you're not committing yourself to the Lord? Because committing yourself to the Lord knows that, hey, I have to take this ego down. I know that there's something out there that's bigger than me that can actually help change me. You get what I'm saying? That can actually help me become a better man, even if you didn't receive that instruction from your father and your mother. You get what I'm saying? And I think it takes so much humility to understand that, and it brings out a different type of version of men, because I've seen it happen in the real world. But yeah, if you're not committing yourself to the Lord, how are you ready for a real woman? You letting the world lead you. You letting the world teach you. You letting the streets teach you how to be a real man. When the crowd, y'all following the crowd, and the crowd is lost. But yeah, that's just my perspective on that. And I'm gonna touch on the women part. No, I'm not gonna touch on the women part. Actually, I'm gonna keep this just like on a man perspective, because I think like this video is gonna be super long, and I don't want it to be super, super stretched and super, super long. So I'm going to make another video for Are You Ready for Real Friends? Be tuned. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.